Yeah, so I guess on this you actually have to stop it and restart it. But okay, I wanted to see what kind of fuel mileage this thing gets, and now we're, just using the readout or whatever. It's at 13.4 is what it says we're getting on average. But I just want to know which one of the guys was driving this thing that got this to say that a 50-mile driving average, they got 30.7. Like, who did that, and what hill were they driving down? Because that's not even fair. Had to have been David. Maybe we were towing it. I don't even have a clue how somebody gets 30.7. Of course, I hear guys in their Cummins truck, they're like, yeah, I get 25 pulling my trailer uphill in the snow. But I'm kind of looking forward to figuring out what kind of fuel mileage we're going to get on this thing once we load it down with fish, because we're going to have on that gooseneck trailer back there, there's going to be 2 boxes plus the oxygen rig. I'm going to say, let's see, that's 400 gallons per box, 800 gallons. That's not that much weight, really. So, 8 times 8, whatever that comes out to. That's not going to be that bad at all. I thought it was going to be a little worse. So, let's say that we're only going to be hauling like 10,000 pounds or something like that at the most. My math may be way off. I don't remember how much the trailer weighs. But I always just want them, if I can get 10 miles to the gallon out of a truck, a lot of people are going to say that's ridiculous, but if I can get 10 miles to the gallon out of the truck and have minimal breakdowns, I have no desire to do any modifications. Just delete them, leave them as close to stock as possible, even tune them back to stock maybe with a little bit of a few more horsepower just for towing something. But I don't want 25 miles to the gallon and sacrifice it for every 1,000 miles having a breakdown because I busted something. That's kind of like on our standard trucks. I always put in just one size over heavy duty on a stock clutch, South Bend, triple disc, 5 disc, whatever, all those ridiculous clutches where you have people that are like, yeah, and then I broke my drive shaft, busted my rear end. Why not just blow up a clutch and put another one in the afternoon? You're going again in the morning. That makes way more sense to me. That's why the clutch is there, so that it can be destroyed, not tear other stuff up. I've got 300,000 miles on my 04 Dodge, and that truck has, let's see, at 295,000 miles, had like 7 clutches. Now, we worked that thing way too hard, and it's not had the greatest life, and everybody picks on it, but it's still doing what it's supposed to do. Something new that I discovered on that truck, I need to make a video about that. I was having what I thought was injector issues about 6 months ago when I parked it, and I didn't park it because of the injector issues. I was still driving it, but when I crank it up in the morning, I was getting some smoke. My amp gauge was acting a little bit funny, but my alternator seemed to be working. But then after I let it sit for a while and came back, it seemed like it was worse. When I unhooked the heater grid, all I did was unhook the cables that connect right up at the intake. And when I took those cables off, I've been driving it a few days now. Of course, now I have no heater grid. That's not going to work for guys up north. I understand that. You got to have some sort of preheater on that air, maybe, to help you start it. Down here in Texas, it really doesn't matter. It's 110 degrees. It's already preheated. But yeah, strangely, I have no idea why, and everybody will tell me this is crazy, but I don't have any injector leg like I used to. I don't have any of the smoke that I used to have. And I'm kind of wondering if that heater grid was robbing so much power, maybe getting hung up while I'm driving down the road, that I didn't have the correct amperage that I needed. I don't know that much about it. Maybe somebody could tell me in the comments on a video what their opinion is on that, if having a draw like that could mess with your injectors or the timing or something like that caused so many issues. Because I had a day when I was pulling a trailer and I come around the corner and it actually acted like the truck was stalling a little, like it had a miss and started to idle down. And I did notice that I had like a draw on my amperage. Now I thought at the time, oh, my alternator's going out. But then I checked everything, and I drove the truck for another 2 or 3 months after that, and the only thing I noticed was sometimes I had like a little leg of smoke in the mornings. And I'm really starting to think that that heater grid was sucking enough power away that everything just wasn't firing. Now, as it gets colder this fall, we'll find out, and I'll buy a custom intake and stuff to get as close to factory, but delete the heater grid. There's no sense in me replacing the heater grid. I don't feel like I might, but that's one of those small things. Like I said, I don't really care about the fuel mileage. I would rather it be reliable. If it's more reliable without having that heater grid, I'm all about that. If it's not, well, we'll see how that goes. And this video may actually never get published. We'll see if I ever even put a video on the internet. I still way behind on all that stuff. Got to get somebody to show me some of that technical stuff, but hopefully I come up with content things you guys want to see. I have a lot of questions that I need to find a way to ask people on social media about some of these trucks that we work on, because we come up with the weirdest stuff of how we fix trucks. I mean, I know I've had trucks that had what we thought were injector issues, and they had dead batteries. So somebody's going to say that that's absolutely crazy. I've had trucks with misfires, and they had random misfire codes, and bought the truck needing injectors, and we replaced the battery cable ends because they were so jacked up, and somebody had jury-rigged them with a quick connect, and we replaced that and fixed all the issues. I've had 24 valve trucks that I bought that people had one battery they were running on them, and the truck needed a VP44, and everybody swore it needed a VP44, and all that we did on that truck was put 2 batteries on it, put things back the way they were supposed to be, and runs absolutely fine. And when you sell that truck to somebody, people say, I'm gonna turn this camera around, see if it works. No, it doesn't. Anyways, people are like, so what'd you do? And they all, you say, oh, I just put batteries on it. They think you're lying, because there's no way that batteries just fixed it. I had a Duramax one time. I wish I would have taken videos of this. I had a Duramax last winter that I bought. Had 14 codes when I bought this truck. Would not drive over 20 miles an hour. I mean, there was some rigged stuff on it, don't get me wrong, but it was a lifted, pretty straight, halfway nice truck that you could tell in the last few thousand miles just nobody cared. It had a cat fuel filter on it. Really seemed like, why didn't it have factory? I don't know. Even an adapter for that fuel filter to make a cat filter fit. It was an LB7 Duramax. It smoked, wouldn't drive over 20 miles an hour, had transmission codes. I was just gonna part the truck out, and I had a buddy say, hey, do you think we can fix it? And I said, I don't have time to fix it. I wish I had pictures of that truck. I'll post a picture of that truck in this video, and so that people can see it. It was literally a truck that I gave, I think I gave like $3,000 for this thing or something stupid, and I thought it was worth that in parts. As a running truck, it definitely wasn't worth that. I told Caleb when he was working for me, you could go change the oil, change the fuel filter, put some injector cleaner in it, and change the air filter. And the air filter on the truck was completely clogged, like just completely clogged. Somebody put a K&N in it, and I don't think they ever once cleaned that filter or replaced it. But they've had a K&N air filter in it, complete trash. Never do that to your poor truck. We pulled that out, put a factory air cleaner in it, fixed the piping issue, like they had some holes where it was sucking raw air, fixed that, took off their Caterpillar fuel filter, replaced it with a factory fuel filter, ran injector cleaner in it, actually poured a little bit in the fuel filter, which you're not supposed to, but we wanted it to get some of that AC Doco stuff in it, just see if it would fix the truck, and did an oil change on it. We got in the truck. I did not even hook it up to a scanner. Drove the truck 5 miles down the road, and every one of the codes was gone. It had 0 check engine lights. It drove just fine. We had to put brakes on it because this guy had taken 2 sets, capped off one of the brake lines. He'd been real dumb. I listed this truck online on Craigslist. The guy, for sale. The guy calls me or texts me, or I think he just texted me and asked me these questions on this truck, and I answered him honestly. I'm like, yeah, it drives fine. Everything works on it like it's supposed to. And he texts me telling me that I'm cheating him because his truck needed a transmission and it needed injectors. He thought it needed a transmission because he had the air intake so jacked up that it wouldn't build the proper boost and wouldn't shift through the gears. He thought it needed injectors because the fuel filter was completely clogged and restricted, and the truck would barely run and was sitting there like gray smoking between the air and the fuel. And all these issues he created himself. All we did was put it back factory, and it took us like 45 minutes to do all this stuff. And you have a truck that you bought for $3,000 that some kid had and thought he was a diesel mechanic and trades it in for nothing. And we buy that truck and do nothing but fix.
Welcome to Arkansas.
Oh, I'm in Arkansas now. We fix the simple stuff on it, like literally just service the truck. And it was a running and driving, street-ready vehicle with a little bit of brake work. Absolutely, just, to me, just mind-blowing. I mean, you take a $3,000 truck and you make it a $10,000 truck by just doing some cleanup. Now, we didn't sell it for 10. We sold it to some guy ridiculously cheap. I think a car dealer actually bought it because he knew he was going to make so much money on it. But that's literally, I mean, I can't tell you how many times that's happened. I just don't understand. Some people just refuse to do maintenance and the simple stuff. They have it's got a, needs injectors. Everybody wants to just throw injectors in a truck. I mean, people told me that Dodge that we just deleted the heater grid, it needs injectors. It didn't need injectors. Sorry, this turned into a long rant. It probably will never make a video, but I'm just going to call this Dear Diary or something like that. Later on, I'll show you videos where we actually do simple stuff like that. And more people hopefully will watch these and fix their own trucks and quit taking them and letting somebody else make all the money off of them. I might be out of job, but still, somebody's going to have to, catch on eventually. Just do maintenance. It goes a long way.